Welcome back to another episode of the 2023 NBA Draft Prospect Profiles here on the Field of 68. My name is Rob Doster. That gentleman you see next to me is Greg Waddell. He is our resident Michigan fan, and he is going to help me break down Michigan guard Jett Howard, a 6'8" freshman that averaged 14 points, couple rebounds, couple assists, shot 37% from three, shot 41% from the floor, and most importantly, led the Michigan Wolverines to the NIT this past season. Gregory, what do you think of Jett Howard? What do you make of him as a potential first-round pick?
You know, I was really hoping I was never going to have to talk about Jett Howard again, but here we are. I thought the whole Michigan program mantra has been ducking things the last couple of years. I successfully ducked having this conversation for about 4 months, but I'm going to try to not put any bias on this because there are things that Jett Howard does on a basketball court that are pretty unmatched across this entire draft class, right? We talked about Jordan Hawkins earlier. He's great. I think he's the best shooter in the class. I think Jett Howard is a close second. His shot making is elite, for lack of a better word. His stroke is absolutely pure. Catch and shoots, pull-ups, it doesn't matter. It's pretty. His makes, when it's just a wide open catch and shoot, they barely touch the net. He's constantly thinking shot. Like, that's the one thing which I think wires him like Jordan Hawkins is there's not a second he's on the basketball floor where he's thinking to do anything else other than find a way to shoot the basketball. He does flash a little bit of playmaking upside. We'll get to that in a little bit. But if you leave him alone, like, it's in. The thing is, NBA teams aren't going to leave him alone. He's a little bit of a streaky shooter, not in the sense that when he's missing shots that compounds, but in the sense that he can string 5-6 makes together in a half. And he did that like once every 2 weeks at the college level. When he's hot, he's really hot. He made 38% on pull-ups this year. He likes going right. He ran some pick and roll. It went okay. A lot of NBA guys seem to think that he has this shot creation upside that I didn't really see as like an off the dribble isolation scorer. That really wasn't there for me. To me, that was one of the biggest problems with this Michigan team was they spent 2.5 months of the season thinking he was that guy. And in a close game late, it was basically give Jett the ball and get out of the way. And they lost every close game for 2.5 months because he never scored in those situations. So, he's not a plus athlete. He doesn't have elite quickness. He doesn't even have good quickness. He doesn't move laterally well. He's not a high riser. He really struggled at the rim this year. He's right-hand dominant. So despite how much of a quote-unquote bucket he is, there's still a lot there just in his intangibles that I think are going to make it a lot harder for him to score at the NBA level than he did in college. But look, Rob, this is all one side of the coin of Jett Howard, the basketball player. The other side of the coin is that he was arguably the worst defender at the high major level that I saw in college basketball last season. I watched a lot of teams. I saw every team in the Big Ten multiple times. I went to a bunch of different tournaments. Like, he was a liability in a way that negatively impacted his entire team more so than any other individual player. And it's a mix of things. It's a mix of the athletic limitations I spoke to. I think it's effort related. He just doesn't box out ever. There's not a moment that he boxes out and hits and cuts and gets low and impacts a game on the rebounding side of things. I think it's IQ related. Like, I can't tell you the number of times that Michigan was in a zone defense and the other 4 guys on the team were playing zone defense and Jett Howard was just chasing his man to the corner and left the shooter wide open. It happened in November. It happened in March. It never got better. And for a coach's kid, like, that's unfathomable to me. It just doesn't make sense. So it's one of those things where, like, does all that matter in the NBA? Like, yes, obviously it does for a winning basketball team, but if the best of his shot making stuff does translate, there's going to be some NBA teams that will still find a use for him. I just don't see the lottery upside that a lot of people do, where, like, he could be an offensive engine for an NBA team. I don't think he has the athleticism or the off the dribble package to get there.
No, you know what he is? He's Duncan Robinson. He is absolutely 100% Duncan Robinson, a guy that is very good when he gets his feet set and you don't guard him, a guy that you can run off of screens, that can manipulate defenses because of the threat of his shot coming off of those screens. He is a guy that is 6'8" and is going to be able to get that shot off against most defenses that are going to be guarding him at the NBA level. I don't think that he really was bothered that much by contested threes. Like, you get a hand up and he's still making it if he's going to make it, right? The stuff about him defending like is 100% accurate. Like, it's hilarious.
It's laughably bad. Like,
it's
genuinely
hilarious watching his defensive film. I'm pretty sure that at 38 years old, I haven't played a basketball game in 5 years. That if he tried to guard me, I could face him up, jab step, and get to the rim on him. But at the end of the day, he is 6'8" and he could shoot the shit out of it. And I think that there is going to be a role for him in the league because he is 6'8" and he could shoot the shit out of it. And his last name is Howard, right? I think that you bet on the fact that his that development is going to come. Now, all that said, I'm not taking him. Like, I think that what I'm looking for when I'm drafting him is a place where a team needs a shooter off the bench, right? Where somebody is like, look, we didn't have enough spacing. There wasn't enough room for Nikola Jokic to operate, so we got to get this guy that can go make a three and play 12 minutes a game for us. You're thinking like Josh Udogie did not make enough jumpers to be able to space the floor for Kevin Durant and Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. So let's go get Jett Howard because we could put him in a corner and he can make some shots for 14 minutes a game, right? Like, that is what I think his role is going to be right away. Maybe he can get better than that. Maybe he has some upside. I think he's got so far to go as like a 3-and-D guy that I can't really see that happening. But Duncan Robinson made $100 million as an NBA player. Max Strus is still hanging around in the NBA like as a very good rotation player. There's a reason why Jordan Hawkins is going to end up being like a top 12 pick in this year's draft. Shooting matters. And Jett Howard is, like you said, probably the second best shooter in this draft. So he's going to get taken in the first round. He's going to get taken on a good team. And I do think that we're going to look up in the playoffs next year and you're going to be like, holy shit, Jett Howard's playing? Look at that. All right, good for him. Our partner for today's episode is Athletic Greens. I started taking AG1 during the college basketball season, and I loved the impact that it had on my energy levels. I'm a big coffee in the morning guy, but by the time that the afternoon would hit, I needed another boost. AG1 helped me tremendously, especially on those days when I didn't want to get up off the couch and go hit the gym. Their tagline is AG1 is comprehensive health and the power of habit in one. And man, that could not be more true. It's nearly impossible to eat and drink in a healthy manner in the month of February and the month of March when you are in my business. And AG1 was exactly the supplement that I needed to improve my gut health and cover my nutritional basis for the day. I've continued that into April. I've continued that into May, and I'm going to continue that the rest of the summer. All I have to do is mix a scoop of AG1 with some water or maybe add it into a smoothie, and I'm ready to go. Do it after lunch, and you'll be ready to go for the rest of the day. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/field68. That's field 68 FIELD, the number 6, the number 8, and you can get yours now. So check it out and help support this show. Thanks.
Here's my worry about that. I think somehow his stock has risen. And I know it kind of plateaued. Like early in the season, it was like he's a top 10 pick. And then as the season went on and it became clear that he was a large reason why Michigan was struggling to even have a chance to make the NCAA tournament, it got to like, okay, maybe he's mid-round, maybe he's late first round. I still think, like, from everything I've heard and mock drafts and all that, I feel like he's a fringe lottery guy, and I think a team that's not playoff ready is probably going to draft him in like under the assumption he can be much more than what he is, which is a spot shooter, a Duncan Robinson type. And that's just not going to work. It's going to be underwhelming if a team asks more of him. He's probably going to fail at that. And I don't mean to be too harsh on the kid. Obviously, there's a lot of growth that can happen. 4 years from now, he could look totally different than he does now, but he gets a lot of, it's weird. He gets a lot of credit for having natural abilities that I just didn't see. Like, he doesn't take good angles as a driver at all. And yet, like, one of the strengths, if you watch any scouting report of him, is like he can get downhill. Like, no, he couldn't really. And if he did get downhill, he usually missed the shot or got blocked at the rim. My comp for him, which this is going to sound rosy after all that I've said, I think his best case scenario is mini Michael Porter Jr. And I think where I'm going with that is that Michael Porter Jr. originally was thought to be, oh, he could be the best player in this class. He has all of this like isolation scoring Kevin Durant shit. And then in reality, like, yeah, does he? Like, he was kind of clueless defensively. He's still an elite shot maker. I think he's an elite shooter right now. But like, what worked for him was he found a role with Denver where he could take some time growing. And now, like, in his good games, he hits 6 threes, maybe gets you some rebounds, and isn't really asked to do anything else other than that. I think that's what the most effective version of Jett Howard will look like. I honestly don't think, like, in the Duncan comparison, I like where you're going with that. I think that Jett is a little better as far as fluidity of his just offensive game in general. Like, I think he's more of a movement guy. He's gonna by default have the ball in his hands a little more than Duncan is. And I think that's where Porter Jr. comes in. Like, I think you still get this guy some isolation touches, and he's good enough to get you a bucket, even if it's just off the dribble, one dribble pull up, rising and shooting.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I would say is to the Michael Porter Jr. thing is he's like 6'10", 6'11".
That's why it's mini MPJ.
And a terrific athlete. And I think like a mini version of him is, I think you lose some of that advantage that you get with his ability to get the shot off. I don't think that Jett Howard is going to be a starter in the NBA. I don't see him being that good. I don't think he's athletic enough. I don't think he's good enough defensively. I think he is a guy that is going to have a very specific role as the higher shooter off the bench. And that's just kind of what I think is his long-term potential, which is why I'm not investing a lottery pick in him. I think you probably want to take him in the mid to late 20s. Just my personal opinion. I don't think I would take him until the second round. I don't know if I want to invest 4 years of salary there because I don't see the upside. And the thing that's concerning to me is he's already 19. He'll turn 20. He's the age of sophomores, and we're still seeing some of those issues and have some of those question marks. Like, what does he do? He doesn't do other than shooting. Nothing. He does not impact a basketball game positively. He only impacts it negatively.
No, yeah, it's nothing. He does have a big frame. Like, he's 6'8". I think he could potentially be like a small ball 4 in the right system here if he learns to rebound at all.
He's not guarding 4s in the NBA.
Well, he's not guarding anybody in the NBA.
Not guarding guards in the. He's not guarding 4s in the NBA. He ain't guarding in the NBA.
He's not guarding it, but he might expose 4s in the NBA better from his perimeter skill set than.
Fair enough.
But I don't know. My favorite thing here, final word on Jett from me. My favorite thing is that one of your positives on Jett on why he could work in the NBA still came back to because he's a Howard. When will the nepotism end, Rob Doster?
Well, no, I'm not saying that's.
You're right. I'm
not saying that's why it'll work. I'm saying that's why I think there will be a team that picks him because they just kind of say, hey, look, he's got the bloodlines. He knows like Jamal's gonna be able to get him to a point where he understands what it takes. Like, he gets what the NBA life is about. And I don't think that he'll be there's a lot of guys where they get money for that first time. And it's kind of like, well, are they going to keep working? Well, you don't have to worry about Jett Howard getting money for the first time. Like, he grew up very wealthy. So that's
you do have to worry about him working, though. Work was not exactly what I'd associate with his game.
Fair enough. Listen, this has been the breakdown of Michigan's Jett Howard, who I feel like you wanted to crush him, and then you ended up liking him a little bit more as a prospect than I do. That Michigan blood is always going to run pure. For Greg Waddell, I'm Rob Doster. If you like these draft prospect profiles, make sure you check out the description below. We have links to the more than 50 other profiles that we are going to be rolling out over the course of May and June. And be sure to tune in a week before the actual NBA draft. We will have 6 experts on, and we will be doing a live mock draft, making every pick as if we are every single team. See you guys there. Thank you for watching The Field of 68. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here, hit that like button, share this link with your friends, or check out the description for some other places that you can consume Field of 68 content.